I got this new little hairy mic.
Little hairy mic.
Little hairy mic.
Your little boom.
Little hairy mic in the morning. Yeah, dude. So I ended up buying. So welcome to the podcast, everybody. First of all, this is Darien. She has been a homie since we first met in 2019. We both went to a soil science conference together, just like my first guest. We've been friends for, it seems like fucking forever, but It's only been like, it hasn't even been 3 full years, dude. Because actually, my first guest, I met her that same conference that we went to. She was a student of mine. She had emailed me and she was like, hey, I know you're growing some plants and I want to get into the industry, so can I come over and you show me some plants? And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. So whenever we came back from that trip, she had come over and hung out, and we had looked at some plants together. But yeah, so nice. I got this. So today we're drinking this Refresh, 25 cents a gallon. You know, if you refill, so you buy this shit for $1. I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna become a thing where I just like drink something new on every podcast or fucking, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But anyway, you buy that shit for $1, you refill for 25 cents. So don't let anyone bullshit you into telling you that soda is more expensive than water, because you're really just paying for the brand at that point.
Exactly.
But anyways, I got this mic, and God, dude, oh my God. Okay, first off, let me start this podcast off by bitching. Dude, I got this mic, and really just tapping into the old man syndrome, just bitching about technology. But I got this mic. I got 2 of these mics. So if you know anyone that wants a microphone, I got an extra one. But I got 2 of these. I got 2 of these mics, and they plug directly into a headphone jack. So let me start over. I first got a mic from Best Buy, and then it was a USB mic, and I got not a splitter, but like an adapter, like a USB to USB-C adapter, so I could plug it in the phone or the Kindle or whatever, and then that ended up like not working. I was like, fuck. So I had to return that shit to Best Buy, and then I went to Target and I got 2 of these microphones, and they plug into the headphone jack, and and I got a splitter, like a headphone jack splitter. Yeah. But it turns out, and then I got this extension cord so it could reach the camera. It turns out that you have to plug this shit directly into the phone in order for the microphone to work. And so it doesn't work when you're using the splitter. But for some reason, it'll transmit through the extension cord. So I'm still fucking with only one mic right now, which, I don't know. I'm trying to... Dude, I'm serious. I'm trying to figure this shit out. Yeah. Hopefully I want, like... So we don't have to keep, like, yelling. But I want eventually one mic on your side, one mic on my side, so we can just, like, kind of talk into the mic and not have to... Right.
Yeah, that would be ideal, right? You'll figure it out.
It's so annoying.
It worked out.
As a matter of fact, I got colder. I got colder water, or I got ice.
Oh, I'm solid.
If you want.
With that lukewarm water.
So, me and you work in the same lab now with Dr. Sonogo, and but I kind of wanted to start from like the beginning, like your background a little bit. So, like, I know you're born and raised in good old Hobbs, New Mexico. Yeehaw.
Hobbs, America.
No, Hobbs, America. Yeah. But also, so what is like your college journey been like? I know a little bit about your master's degree and then the shit that you're doing now. I don't know too much before that. Your bachelor's, you've got associates or whatever. So what has that been like?
It was kind of rough at the beginning, you know. I think I lived a little bit of a like sheltered life in Hobbs, and so I graduated and then hopped from Hobbs because I hated it.
Oh, dude,
I hate Hobbs.
Everybody hates Hobbs.
Yeah, it's just awful. And so, yeah, I'd gotten a scholarship to come to NMSU.
Nice.
And so I
Like after high school?
Yeah.
Okay, so
It
like
was
the lottery or bridge or whatever.
Yeah, I had the lottery, and then I had a secondary scholarship for my academic achievements, I guess, in high school. I guess I qualified for something like that.
You did better than me, man. I got straight D's in high school.
Dude, it didn't. That scholarship didn't stay with me very long.
It never does.
Like maybe
dude.
a semester.
The scholarships they're cool in theory, but like college is so fucking expensive, dude. That I got.
Yeah.
I might have told you this, but for the viewers, I got 5 scholarships one semester. It didn't even pay for half of my fucking tuition, dude. And then I got so 5 scholarships. I got like $1,300, and then I got a Pell Grant. A Pell Grant for $6,000.
Yeah.
So the Pell Grant paid for all that shit. The scholarships didn't, but I'm just like, that shows you how fucked up the system is when you get that many and it doesn't even pay for half of your shit.
That is so true.
God, dude.
That is so true. I think losing that scholarship was my own fault. I had like a GPA requirement to reach.
And you have to continue on through. You
have
take
to
a semester off or whatever.
Yeah, you have to have like a 3.5 or higher GPA throughout the course of your undergrad. And after the second semester, I couldn't keep up with that. College is such a different world when you go from high school learning to like academic, like go to higher level learning.
It's a lot of freedom, though.
There's so much freedom, and I think that was maybe one of my problems. Is I just went
like,
a little crazy.
Too much freedom, yeah. America.
I did not know how to manage my time or like my classes. I didn't know how to manage shit.
It's a different world, man. It's kind of weird that like. You go from, like, high school is supposed to prepare you for college, and sometimes it does, and sometimes you're just like, this is nothing like fucking high school at all.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I think that was more of my, I wasn't a partier in high school or anything like that, but as soon as I got here.
Yeah. Well, it's college town.
It's easy, it's so easy to do that around here. So it took me, 2 years of my undergrad just to, like, feel comfortable being, like, in this like level of learning, just to manage all the courses, manage my free time better,
and so
all of that.
You started college here at MSU?
Yes, I started here in 2013.
So what was your? Well, I think your undergrad was biology, wasn't it?
Yeah, my undergrad is biology.
Science or art?
Science.
Okay, because I know there's 2 different.
There is.
I had a friend that got his master's in biology, but his was a biology of art, and I guess it depends on the classes you take or some shit, and he was all pissed off because he was like, fuck, I wanted to be a scientist, and I'm just like, well, I mean, you're still technically a scientist, but if people are waving through applications, and they see for a science job, and there's like a high percentage of applications, and they see Bachelors of Art, or Masters of Art or whatever, they're gonna be like, fuck that, and then they're just gonna keep going.
And be like, oh, well, you have the philosophy down, you don't have the research part of it down.
It's just like if you go to, I think they did away with the GRE, that stupid graduate readiness bullshit.
I fucking hope so, because I'm pretty sure I bombed the hell out of that exam when I had to take it.
I got like at the top 44 percentile or some shit.
Yeah, I didn't even like look into it very much because my advisor
gives a shit.
Yeah, my main advisor was like, we just need it for requirement purposes. I'm not gonna change my decision on having you.
Unless it's, my understanding is like if it's like NMSU, they don't get too many applicants, so but if it's like Harvard or Cornell or some shit, they use that, they just kind of wave through and they're like, oh, this guy got whatever on the GRE. I guess that's what it's for, but it's so stupid because you have to pay like $250 or $300 to a private company that's not even affiliated with the fucking university, and then they tell you it's like whether you're ready, and then like the whole exam, for those that don't know, the graduate readiness exam is straight bullshit, and it's like there's 3 subjects really. It's like geometry and like reading and like writing. So it's like 2 literature components. Like short answer shit, and then like comprehensive shit, and then or vocabulary. They'll give you these words. Dude, it's so stupid.
You gotta guess what they mean based on your context clues and shit.
It's like
oh my god.
Shouldn't a bachelor's already tell you that you're ready for graduate school.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. People get away with getting bachelor. People get away with getting masters and PhDs too.
That's true.
People like a lot of times if they're shitty enough, and people just don't want to see them anymore, and they're just like, "Here's your PhD, fuck out of here."
Yeah. Get out.
Dude, yeah, and it's happened.
They'll fail you once, but the second time you're most certainly going to pass if they don't like you or
and
don't want you around.
I'm sure me and you both know multiple people that have gotten their PhDs or masters, not particularly from this university, but different universities around the world that didn't really deserve it. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to be a dick, but I don't know, man. I know some fucking people, you know?
Yeah, they definitely got by like the
skin of their teeth.
Yeah,
it's like, you got skin on your teeth, motherfucker. It's like really just like bone, straight enamel. Yeah. But so your bachelor's was in biology, and did you have a minor?
No, I didn't have a minor.
Only in your master's.
Only in my master's,
which was applied statistics.
Applied stats.
Oh God, dude! I'm sure I told you this before. Me and Darien have conversations all the time, so we're probably going to repeat a lot of shit here. But for the viewers, I was going to get my applied statistics minor as well, but fuck that, dude. Statistics is like the. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I guess I know it's important. Whatever.
For science purposes,
it is. Math is the language of science, and but statistics is like it's still math, but it's in its own
entirely
realm.
Different. Yeah.
Even mathematicsions hate stats.
Yeah.
It's
it becomes like super. It can be like an opinionated type of thing, like what tests you run and like
it's so
how you run those tests.
Except for there's like two concrete things in stats. It's like the higher your number, the greater the power of the test, the higher your sample size, and then the experimental design on whether you do a random block design or whether you do a completely randomized design, depending on if your experimental units are homogeneous or not, and so it's like those are the only two for sure things that all the statisticians can agree on. But then there's everything else, the entire realm where you go and you talk to a stats person and they're like, well, it depends. And then you talk to another stats person, and they're like, well, it depends. Yeah. And they'll give you some other shit than the other stats person. And it doesn't make it easier. Like, the stats professor I had really kind of just thought he was, like, the shit. He would always, like, talk shit about Khan Academy. And I'm like, dude, if I can't trust YouTube, who the fuck can I trust,
I forget who you had. Who did you have?
I don't want to drop any. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
No names?
Especially because I'm employed by NMSU.
Yeah.
And like I doubt anyone's really gonna watch this shit or give a fuck, you know what I mean? But he was just one of those people where like if I have anything negative to say about anybody, I probably shouldn't name drop, but he was just one of those people that was nobody liked him. I had a friend doing his master's in statistics that failed his class.
Okay, so was he this like skinny dude, high energy? Oh yeah, I had him for my first course.
Played ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, he did all kinds of.
I had
all crazy stories.
I had Hunter in that. I think I told you I had Hunter in that class, and we always had a silent competition on who would do better because Hunter thought he was really good at statistics, and I was like, well, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see, motherfucker. And then we would have the silent like it wasn't spoke between me and him. It wasn't spoke between us and the professor. It was just a silent competition where it's just like, I kind of do that though when I take classes. Well, like I'm out of school now, so it's fine. But when I take classes with friends, sometimes, because I have these motherfuckers that I'd be studying like a day before. They'd literally study for like 5 minutes before the exam, and they would do better.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, God. And like, I know grades don't really matter, it's more like a common sense. I'd rather have common sense than good grades, really. But I mean, my friends did have common sense at the same time, so it's like, they shared both. But we had that silent competition where it's just like, oh shit, I got an 86 and you got an 84. Fuck you, kind of deal. But
no, I feel you.
Yeah, he was he just thought he was like the best statistician in like the world, and I'm just like, I don't know, because he was all. Yeah, I wrote a PhD dissertation, and of course, mine was like really fucking good, or I'm just like, all right, dude, like I don't
He does do that.
I don't take this class to hear about how good you are and how smart you are and all this shit. Like, if it's relevant, you know, I want to hear about some of the work you did, so I know.
That's true.
Like when I teach my class, I give them a little bit of background on myself and the research that I've done, so they know that I was just some random person off the street that they chose to teach the class or whatever. But
right.
So
I don't know. I kind of liked him.
He grew on you, kind of.
Like he.
I don't
Maybe
know,
not the
it,
the side stuff, like his ego stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I found him to be like my type of math teacher.
Really?
Like my type of teacher to learn from, because he did, at least in the course wise, he was able to give really good examples.
That's true.
And like focus on.
He had a lot of experience in different places.
Yes. Focus on like vocabulary type shit, you know, like he'd give us like the whole view of things and then he'd turn it around and put it in a real application. And he works with the like ag department a lot, apparently, at some point. Maybe not when I like took his course, because I think I was the last course that he had before he like moved up to department head, and he suddenly stopped teaching. But
you might have taken it the same semester as me then, because I was also in his last class. But I don't know if he taught a couple different sections or whatever, maybe.
I think he did.
Yeah.
I think he did, because there was other people.
He just didn't give a shit at that point. He was like, fuck this. This is my last time teaching this 505 shit. I'm going up to department head, and I just like, it was just kind of weird, because if you didn't write down the definition word for word, like I know what a standard deviation is.
Yeah.
I know what the mean is.
Oh yeah.
You know, I know like super simple shit that you're supposed to know in statistics, but I would write it out, and he would take points off because I didn't write word for word
specifically
what he said.
Yeah.
It's like I said the same shit though.
Yeah.
It's like okay, you know, you have a standard deviation. You know, it's like deviating from like the normal, you know, normal circumstances or whatever. It's like I get it, but if it wasn't word for word what he wrote, it's like wrong. So you hit up a bachelor's in biology, and then what made you decide to do a master's? You got a master's in PES, right?
Yes.
For those that don't know, it's plant and environmental science. That's where I got my master's. We worked under two different people, but we had the same co-advisor who we now work under doing research for. So what made you even decide to go into master's? Because for me, I wasn't going to do it at all, but I was just like, I had the opportunity to, and there was some cool shit being studied, so I was like, I'll just jump in, dude, fuck it, you know?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, it's the exact same thing. I mean, my boss, so I was a lab manager for the, like, soil health laboratory, please. For the soil health laboratory for...
Who runs that?
Johnny DeLu.
Oh, he do.
Yeah, my main advisor. So I was his lab manager for about 8 months before I started my master's with him.
Yeah.
So I got pretty tied into the project that we did. The funding that like funded my whole master's. It's a program called SBAR.
SBAR.
Yeah, and so it stands for Sustainable Bioeconomy for Arid Regions.
Nice.
So it was a big CAP grants, and the U of A, University of Arizona, is the ones that like submitted that grant and like found all the like co-PIs, all the PIs that were going to be a part of it, and so John qualified. Nice. Yeah, so
he's good at getting grants and pumping out publications. Man.
Oh yeah, extension publications especially. He's very good at his extension work. So that was his main role. Really, was head of extension, lead PI. So he invited me to the first retreat. They call them retreats, but it's not really a retreat. We just go meet and have meetings all day and talk about the plans are for the whole year. Exactly. It's like
an extended seminar. Meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we're there for 3 days in Tucson, which I love Tucson, by the way. Throw that out there. Tucson's like a really cool city to be in.
Tucson's dank.
But so I went to that first retreat, and that's where he was like, I need you to meet a couple of people, and we're going to get you set up for funding for your research and funding as a research assistant. So I got a research assistant, and then I got a SBAR fellowship which was in education. So I did both of those jobs through the course of my master's.
So you ended up getting like a fully funded. You ended up getting into a fully funded program.
Yes, he was able to pay for my classes for this first semester. And
Oh
the
shit!
second
Really?
semester, yeah.
Wow.
I started my fellowship.
Nice.
So the fellowship covered it from there. Covered all my tuition. So.
I had to do my first semester. Kind of. I started in Dr. Ulrich's lab a year before I got my bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And or maybe a semester. I don't remember really, but. I was in limbo. I had graduated from with my bachelor's, but then like in May and then of 2018, and then I hadn't gotten into grad school yet. So I was like just in purgatory of between undergrad and grad.
Which is not a fun place to be in.
Dude, no, it sucks.
It's a horrible spot.
They're like, yeah, we can only give you $11 an hour because you're not a graduate student, motherfuckers. And
they definitely get you.
Yeah, you can only work this long, like this many hours a week or whatever. It's just like, God, dude, okay, like, but yeah, so that's when I did like the bee pinning and shit with Dr. Bennett. But
oh, that's right.
I had to write my own grant proposal that semester or that summer for the shit that I was doing in Dr. Ulrich's lab. And I wrote that $6,000 grant proposal to WERI, which is the Water Resource and Research Institute. You probably know, but for the viewers, if there's any viewers, I don't fucking know. But anyway, who knows, man? We could just be talking to nobody. And well, we're talking to ourselves, each other, and that's
still
important.
Good conversation.
Yeah, fuck it. So, the NM WERI is the New Mexico Water Resource Research Institute, and I wrote a $6,000 grant proposal to them. But they were like, I was just going to look at the iron uptake in duckweed, but they were like, but it's been done before. I was just going to, verify other people's science. And they're like, yeah, this is pretty good for undergrad, but it's pretty garbage for a grad student. And I'm like,
it has to have
more
novelty.
substance.
Yeah, novelty to like
just
that.
Like, yeah, so, and like, for those that that are watching that haven't been in graduate school, even if you have been in graduate school but haven't been on the science side of things, because there's master's programs like education and shit where you just have to like take a test,
Yeah.
But in the sciences you have to do research, and the way you go about it is you look at past literature and then you try to fill. There's always holes in the literature. There's always more shit to learn, or ways that people didn't connect things, or this could be the same project as this, but this is set up a different way, so you might get different results, and there's just so much variation that it's kind of overwhelming if you think about it. But
it really is. Yeah.
You look for holes in the gaps in knowledge, and you try to fill those holes, right? And so that's kind of how I went about it, where I looked at the literature, and I'm just like, all right, this is duckweed has been proven to take up iron. Oyster mushrooms have been proven to take up iron, but no one's combined the two. No one's looked at the fruiting bodies of the oyster mushroom. So that's where I'll come in, and then that's how I'll kind of revise my project. And a lot of times with graduate students, the problem is they get sucked into a project that they don't really want to do, or they don't like, or they don't have a passion about, and then they hate graduate school. And for me, I'm like, I'm paying for this shit. Like, I better enjoy the fucking experience. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm going to create my own shit. And luckily, I had a good advisors that let me do that. That let me kind of give me leeway to take it in a direction that I wanted to take it, as opposed to just doing whatever the fuck they wanted me to do.
Yeah, and that's like really, really a unique thing that you did. I think, because there's this bunch of people that I know, even myself included, where like my project I wasn't really much involved in the like coming up with the title or anything.
Really?
Not the main title or anything like that, but like the actual premise of it all, the objective. So I kind of got stuck with. I didn't get stuck. So we did try to come up with something that was kind of mixed in with my biology degree, my background, which I did a lot of like DNA work and sequencing.
So like PCR and shit like
that. Yeah, I would do that shit. I had a class in undergrad where I really got to run some research.
What class was it?
It was like independent research studies or something like that
so
in the biology department.
Kind of like a special topics.
It was a special topics, except we were like a full class.
Oh shit! Really?
And so
Nice.
I took it under his name is Dr. Wright, and so
Is he a bird? No.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the bird guy.
He's a bird guy. Yes.
Fuck. What is his first name?
Tim.
Tim Wright. Yeah.
Tim Wright.
I have a homie that is doing her PhD with him, or did do her PhD with him.
Gotcha.
I don't know if she's finished or not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his class. He was a really good mentor advisor. In research, like.
And he would try to be hip and come up with all these colloquialisms that were like all the younger generation fucking
He
So.
sure tried. He sure tried. Yes.
That's what I've heard, dude.
I kind of like that, and and an older professor, and that's done quite a bit of research himself, and he wanted to connect with us on a different level, which I think is better for research purposes anyway.
So what did you do in that?
So we
class?
Studied
bird shit.
No, we didn't do anything bird related, which was kind of crazy. We actually went into the world of ants.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Pocono Myrmex, is that? Yeah, dude.
Pocono Myrmex rugosus.
I fucking love ants, dude.
Yes.
They're some of my favorite creatures on the planet.
Yeah. It was really interesting working with them, and I don't know. There was many times just going out in the field and going to these huge nests. They were insanely huge, biggest ant nest I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And so we'd go and we'd, get ants, and we'd run DNA sequencing on them to understand, exactly where their heritage lies.
Okay.
And then also to see if we could take behavioral aspects to them and connect it with their DNA. So we studied aggression from different.
It's like a nature
hives.
versus nurture kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kinda.
In a way.
Without the nurture.
Yeah, we actually had
nature.
An interesting. We would literally go take an ant from one tribe or one hive and put it in another.
Oh shit!
And see how they would react, and we'd rate the behavior, the aggressive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So we came up with our own rating scale, and then after that, we just took ant samples, ants, and then we run the DNA on it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the semester, we ended up having this little mini seminar where we had posters and everything like that.
Oh, like the biosymposium or whatever?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
I know there's the biosymposium, and then there's a couple other, that have an ACES open house, and it's a scientific thing, but also not at the same, it's made for the general public.
Yes.
Kind of deal. So you have to not dumb it down in a, insulting kind of way, but you have to get on people's level that might not know about exactly what it is. Or they might know.
Yeah.
I know there's some people that like to drive home questions and beat you over the head with a fucking baseball bat.
That's true.
In the biology department.
Yeah, they'll definitely try to do that to you. Yeah.
God, dude, I went to a lot of those seminars because I had a lot of friends there, and then I worked with Dr. Bailey as well.
Right.
And it was just going from those seminars to the PES seminars, it's God, that's why I wasn't too worried about doing my seminar. I was just these people are chill as fuck. Nobody cares, dude, honestly.
Chillest people in PES. Yes.
Nobody gives a shit.
You go to those seminars over at biology and you're
I mean, they care about what's important.
Yes.
They don't care about just harassing graduate students just for the sake of fucking harassing graduate students,
dude. Just to know the most minute details of every process and stuff like that is just insane.
And that was part of the problem that I had with my master's was I had a statistician on there, and she kind of she had a PhD in stats. I've taken one stats class in my graduate school career, minus I took a 311 class in undergrad when I was an environmental science major, but I got a D in it. So
I got a C in mine.
Yeah.
That was the only stats class I had taken.
So pro tip, if you take a class, this is what I did. If you take a class that's a requirement in college for your degree program, and you get a D, it's failing. But if it is not required and counts as an elective, a D is passing.
Oh.
So I ended up getting a D in Stats 311, which was a requirement for environmental science.
Okay.
And then I switched to horticulture, so it was technically failing.
Yeah.
I switched to horticulture, and they were just like, it's an elective now, so you passed. Cool. It's just like those little tiny, what are they called, dude? Like the loopholes, little tiny loopholes you have to find. Just like in graduate school, you can't get a C, technically, because it's failing. Right. But if you read the grad school manual, it doesn't say that shit.
No, it doesn't.
It's all up to your advisors, you know, but a lot of the advisors are like, yeah, because it'll make them look bad or whatever if you're just fucking around. Get C's, you know, you got to get A's and B's in grad school, man. And especially like in the sciences, like it makes it a little bit more like that's how you know who's cut from the cloth and who's not serious about it.
Yeah, just there to like get through the process to get the piece of paper, you know.
Which I mean, that's okay too. Like
it
honestly.
Is fine, but with some things more than others, like I don't think our science program, our Masters of Science programs were like that at all. I feel like we had to be primo. We had to be up there in the A's, B's, and you know, try to like even be a leader in classes. There was multiple classes I take with like undergrad students, and I was expected to, you know, be a leader and present clearer and more concisely. I was expected to, you know, just go a little more above and beyond in some of these courses.
Well, especially if you're mixed in, like, again, for those that don't know, if you're taking grad school classes at NMSU anyway, well, they changed all the numbers around, so even what I'm about to say is irrelevant. But back in the day, back in my day, the you know, before shit sucked, the classes were like 100 level through 450 for undergrad, 450 and above, you know, is graduate level. So 450 to like 500 or, you know, is master's level. And then you get into the 600s, which is PhD. So fuck, I forgot where I was going with that.
Oh, just like intermingling classes and stuff. So
like there's a couple grad classes that I took, like when I took soil chem. Yeah. It was mixed with undergrads and grad students, and there's different tiers of undergrad even too, because there's the ones that don't have any research under their belts. Right. There's the ones that are just there for that do, and then there's like the graduate students or whatever. They're the undergrads that just want to get the fuck out of there, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But when you're a graduate student and you're mixed in with the undergrads in the same class, you just have to do like one or two more assignments. Like that's all it is.
Yeah, like you know? Do a couple more write-ups that were, you know, expected. So like, yeah, I remember doing that, doing those ad drop slips, and then having to write them as 500 level courses, like a specialty class. Yeah. For that specific course, and so
I did my whole like accelerated master's program. Yeah. Shit, where you're able to get 12 credits. Up to 12 credits above 450 or above classes that you took as an undergrad. And it counts as your undergrad class and graduate credits. Oh, wow. So you kind of save money that way. Yeah, dude. So I did that specifically, well, to save money, first off. Yeah. And then second, because I took a bunch of classes, like, as an undergrad. To the point where, like, it took me so long to get my undergrad that there were no more horticulture classes left, dude. Like, I've already taken all of them. I'm just like, God. Yeah. So 12 of those credits counted towards my graduate level class degree, and then also not only do you save money, but you also save time, because if the research holds you back, which it did for me, like my master's is a 2-year degree after your bachelor's, so technically a 6-year degree, but it took me 3 years to get it because the research held me back and COVID fucked everything up and all this stuff. Yeah. But you know, so it took me a year longer, but I had already gotten the coursework out of the way, so I didn't have to worry about it. Yeah. You know, except for when they were like, well, you already appealed to have 0 credits this semester, just 1 credit, so you're going to have to take a full load. Because it's like the way that they do it, and you didn't TA, right? But you probably know this anyway. The way that they do it is you have to have 9 credit hours, which is a full load in grad school, in order to be eligible to TA. Yep. So you get money, and then you give it back to the school. You're TAing for 4 months, 2 months worth of your salary is what you're paying for tuition.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, that's rough, man.
The fuck,
yeah,
like it's so stupid.
They turn around and take your money that you earned.
They're starting to unionize hopefully now.
Yeah, I've been getting text messages over that.
There's that, and then like they're gonna like go to like these meetings where they're talking to the higher ups and shit, where they're like, yeah, do we want to unionize? We want tuition reimbursement, healthcare, better pay, shit like that. And I mean, I guess it doesn't matter for us because we're out of school now. But if we decide to do PhDs or whatever, then at least there's that.
I think it's a really great thing.
A little bit enticing.
Yeah,
so
I'm actually really happy to hear that they're finally doing it.
We were it was like the only school in the entire nation that did not give their grad students tuition reimbursement.
Yeah, just insane.
It's just like, bro, like, I don't know. I just don't, like, you got to take, it's like if you're working at a job and you're treating your employees like shit, and then there's a high turnover rate, and then you're like, well, why the fuck does everyone keep quitting? It's like, well, dumbass.
Yes.
Because you're treating your employees like shit, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, I don't know. But, so I can't think of the fucking trans something. But anyway, you transitioned. I was thinking transistor because like the stupid shit in my car is all fucked up. But anyway, more shit for old Jason to bitch about. But dude, I never ask her. I'm never done bitching. Never ever.
No. Fuck. He walks into the lab and he's
just
bitching.
Bitching, dude. Yeah, just like it's in a joking way. So there's always even if it's like 7:30 in the morning, I'm just come out bitching like I did on the field the other day.
Yeah, it was pretty lighthearted.
I'm just like, God,
it was funny.
You motherfuckers showed up 5 minutes late. I already pulled like 6 weeds, dude. What are you doing?
Dude, we were talking about it too, and we were pulling up. We were like, I wonder who's gonna be here first. Is it gonna be Jason or is it gonna be us? Let's see.
Yeah, I was surprised, dude. Honestly, I got out there and I was like, is this happening? Like, are we even doing this shit still? I was like, fuck it, I'll get out of the car anyway and I'll just start chopping some weeds. But god damn, dude, that field bindweed. I just posted a picture on Instagram about it because they're pretty. They're in the. For those that don't know, and this kind of parallels into the other side of the podcast, is field bindweed is convolvulus or some shit. Yeah. Convolvulvaceae or some shit. It's the morning glory. Yeah, Artemis is the specific epithet, but it's in the morning glory family. Convolvulus. I don't fucking know. Something like that. Something along those lines. If you don't know, check Instagram. Or Facebook, I don't fucking know. But anyway, they got these cool flowers that only last for a day. Yeah. They're naturalized throughout the entire state of New Mexico. And if you know what a morning glory flower looks like, you'll know exactly what the fuck it looks like. And goddamn, they're a pain in the dick. And
such a pain.
There's a whole. We went out in the field yesterday. Yesterday? Yeah, today was only Saturday. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, we went out in the field yesterday and we're chopping these weeds and like these field bindweeds, like the chili field. The field bindweed is just like the most pain in the ass out of, besides that nutsedge.
Nutsedge, yeah.
Shit.
Nutsedge is a pain in the ass too.
The bindweed was probably worse because at least I could pull up the nutsedge and get to the roots.
Yes.
The bindweed, you try to pull it, but you just pull the leaves off.
Yes.
And you're just like, fuck, dude. But like, at the same time, like, I hate invasive species. It's technically a noxious weed in New Mexico, but like, if you think about the evolution and the adaptability, it's just like, god damn, dude, like I said it on one of the podcasts where it's like the invasive species are kind of like the Walmarts of the plant world. They're shitty. But they have a formula that they figured out to how to make shit work and be really good, in these situations. But so you did some mycorrhizal work for your master's, and for those that don't know, mycorrhiza is it's not associated with every single plant, but there is an association, particularly in pine forests. Yeah. The juniper pine forest or just regular pine forest, coniferous forest or whatever. And my understanding is that it connects to the roots and it helps take up things that the plant has a hard time taking up, like phosphorus in particular. Yeah. Or I guess it would be phosphate.
Yeah.
Or potash.
There's potash, yeah. I'm not quite sure what the phosphorus part of it. I kind of focus on the like micronutrients that aren't readily available, like zinc and some magnesium. It also picks up a lot of calcium.
So a lot of the secondary, well, phosphorus is a macronutrient, but a lot of the micronutrients, the secondary type of shit, and then the tree will in turn pump carbohydrates into the plant or into the mycorrhizal fungus. And isn't it like the world's largest single living organism is just a huge, dense mat of mycorrhizal fungi somewhere in like Utah or some shit?
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
It's crazy,
dude. That's what I've heard too. Yeah, the connectivity between these trees too is incredible.
And there's like I don't know, you might know this. I always said like they're generally interchangeable, but there's symbiotic relationships and there's mutualistic relationships, and there's a little tiny bit of a difference between the two, and I don't remember what the difference is. So I don't know whether mycorrhiza is symbiotic, has a symbiotic relationship with trees, or mutualistically beneficial. It would probably be beneficially mutualistic because they're both benefiting from each other.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
But I don't fucking know, dude.
It's technically a symbiotic relationship between the plants, between the plant roots and the organism itself.
Okay.
At least it's what it's technically classified as.
Do you happen to know the difference? I mean, we're just...
I mean, the difference is, like, so minute, right?
Yeah.
Like,
we're splitting hairs here.
I feel like we could interchange those quite easily.
Yeah.
I don't think it could make a huge difference.
It's like the difference between dicots and unicots. It's like, it's the fucking same shit, dude.
Right.
Really, you know?
Yeah, mycorrhiza is very interesting because it has two modes or two ways of planting itself into the plant root itself.
Okay.
So it literally will take, so there's arbuscular mycorrhizae, and then there's vesicular mycorrhizae.
Yeah.
So those are two different, I mean, I wouldn't say species, but two different categories that these could be in.
You said endo or ecto?
Oh, endo and ecto. So my arbuscular mycorrhizae is more like an endo.
So that'd be on the inside of the...
It would, it literally plants itself inside of the root cell and actually wraps, it's called an arbuscule. It wraps itself around some of these root cells. So that's where the site of exchange occurs. Yes, please. That's where the site of exchange of nutrients occurs, whether it be, phosphorus to the plant or it be carbohydrates back to the mycorrhizae for its duties of grabbing that stuff for them.
And there's no fruiting bodies.
No.
It's just...
I haven't
really just hyphal network of tubes. It's like the internet. Exactly. They call it the world, the wood wide... The wood wide web.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Or maybe they don't, but
but that is good.
I took a World Ag and Food Problems class, and some girl was fucking with mycorrhizae, or she did a presentation on it, and her presentation was called the Wood Wide Web, and I'm just like,
hey,
I'm like, dude, I see you. I know exactly what you're doing, dude. That's pretty clever, you know.
Yeah, mycorrhizae is just so interesting. They have relationships with like 80% of the crops that we actually grow here in the United States, and that's quite a lot. Not so much with like other like leguminous plants, because they already what is it called?
Or anything that's really efficient at taking up zinc or calcium or
exactly anything's deficient. They'll try to associate themselves quickly with mycorrhizae.
And for those that don't know, we have very calcareous soils here.
Yeah, extremely. So our level of mycorrhizae is pretty low here in the desert.
Because it's not needed.
It's not really needed.
Technically.
Yeah.
Until you go up to the higher elevations where you start seeing, like Cloudcroft, where you start seeing the pine forests and the coniferous forests and shit like that.
Yeah.
And and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but my understanding is that so like if you have a tree here and it's getting attacked by an insect or a disease or some shit, it'll send a chemical signal down through its roots that will it'll alert the other trees to like stock up on their defense, secondary metabolites, and shit like that. Is that transferred through the mycorrhizal network? Do you know?
I think it's more of like a reaction to the mycorrhizae because our mycorrhizae is now searching for something different.
Okay.
So they'll get that stress signal from that tree that's being attacked.
Uh-huh.
And so in turn, goes down and it affects that mycorrhizal connection right there, and which we know mycorrhizae is connected to all these other sets of microhyphal nets, right?
Yeah.
So it takes that stress then from that mycorrhizae that which it's searching for. It's searching for whatever nutrient that might combat what's going on, so it can keep its relationship happening.
Okay.
And then it'll then transfer to these other mycorrhizal networks around these other trees, and so it's like a chain reaction type of thing.
Okay, so you flick one domino down and
it just
knocks the rest.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice, cool, man. So like, what exactly did you do for? I mean, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but I've done this so many times, dude, where I've talked to people about like what they've done, and they tell me, and I'm just like, I have to ask them again because it's just like. Just tell me again. What? What? Come again? But I mean, and we've talked about this before, but you know, for the viewers, all two of them.
All two of them.
I got 7 subscribers on YouTube now.
Good.
Going viral or whatever. I don't fucking know. I don't really care, honestly. I don't give a shit. But it's just cool to kind of have a platform to, like the first guest that I had on. She works at Calhoun Flower Farms, and so she does like cut flower shit. I don't know much about the floriculture industry, so I learned from her. She does bee rescues with Dr. Kramer, so I got to learn a bit about that. And like we've talked, like we're really good friends, and we've talked about this before, but I've never picked her brain about it.
Right.
You know, to the point where like we've delved in pretty deep about like the shit that she's done or whatever. So explain to me again exactly what you did for your master's.
For sure.
If you want, I don't know. I'm not trying to like. Tell me now, motherfucker.
Cool. It really wasn't much. So most of my work was preliminary before COVID hit, and it kind of affected the rest of my research on that.
Yeah.
But from the beginning stages, I took guar. Guar is a cluster bean.
So leguminous.
Yeah, leguminous. It really likes those associations with those. Rhizobium, so like it has a different microbiome, realistically around its root system.
Okay.
But we just want to kind of see how mycorrhizae would interact with that type of plant itself. So we took a product. It's actually a local product made up in Los Lunas. A mycorrhizae, kind of like a powder, supplement. So I took those and I coated our seed and then just went along with the basic agronomic measurements, which are plant height, number of leaves at the beginning of stages. And then at the end, I harvested the plant and took the roots.
So you can see difference in growth. And you probably did like root length and shit like that.
We did root length, and I did like fresh and dry weights for both the above ground and the below ground biomass. And then I also, of course, stained for mycorrhizae. So it was the premise of that was to see if, it's been a minute since I've actually looked at the study.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes you just close the book and you're just like, fuck this.
I have not touched this again for a long time.
The chapter is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So
I get it.
We wanted to see if like the addition of mycorrhizae would at all, would, I guess. Now I'm starting. It's all coming to me now. It's all coming to me now. Okay, so what I did was I applied biochar and compost in some of my treatments, and I blocked them out that way. So I blocked my experiments based on the application of compost or biochar.
Okay.
So I wanted to see if maybe those two soil amendments, if they had any effects on the mycorrhizal colonization of the root.
Did you mix that in with your soil, or did you just use it like a top layer, like a mulch kind of deal?
It was mixed in. I literally mixed it into the whole soil matrix. I mean, we use those little like 4-ounce cups.
Which makes sense that you fucked with biochar, because one of my friends, you know Lindsay.
Yeah.
She worked with Iduo too.
Yes,
I always say it wrong. Iduo, I don't fucking know. Whatever, that
guy. She did some biochar research.
Research. Your biochar research. Yeah, like when we're talking about Worcestershire sauce. God. And we're just bitching for like 30 minutes about how stupid of a
Stupid
word
that fucking word is.
Worcestershire is.
Yeah, like Jesus. So yeah, I worked with biochar a little bit, and relatively I didn't see much of a difference. And at the end of the day, I didn't really see any colonization of the roots from mycorrhizing my product.
I'm sure there was a bit of a numerical difference, but not like a statistically significant.
Yeah, I mean there was, little things here and there,
Could this be due to chance or outliers?
Yeah, like the fresh weight was a bit different for the biochar compared to the compost.
And that's the thing about fresh weight is that like water plays a role.
A huge role.
A lot of times you want to go based off of the dry weight because of depending on the study that you're doing, really. Yeah. But a lot of times you want to go on the dry weight because it removes water from the equation.
Absolutely. There was minute differences.
Yeah.
So nothing incredibly, different from the control.
Yeah. And for just real quick, you had mentioned rhizobium. So for those that don't know, rhizobium is it's a bacteria that's associated with the root nodules of many leguminous plants. Not all of them. There are certain ones like the Japanese pagoda tree doesn't fix nitrogen. There's like a couple more species that don't actually fix nitrogen. But anyway, these rhizobium bacteria will take N2 out of the air, which is the nitrogen that's just naturally around us all the time, and they'll convert it into usable form for the plant. It's either nitrites or nitrates. I always fuck that up. It's nitrates.
It's actually ammonium,
which is NH4 plus. Yeah. Nitrates are NO3 minus.
Yeah, NO3. Yeah.
And then NO2 is nitrites.
Nitrites. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So just for those that don't know, the rhizobium, that's what it does. It's associated with the root nodules of the leguminous plants, and then that's why they say like with crop rotation, you should put every other season or so you should put leguminous plants to put nitrogen back into the soil, really. Yeah. And then biochar is just like charred remains of biological organisms, basically, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's called pyralization that they put it through. They put it in a huge chamber, and then they basically heat it up, to that temperature.
Okay.
But they, keep the oxygen out of that reaction. So there's no oxygen in that whole system.
So is there still anaerobic bacteria and shit in there then?
That's a really good question. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah.
So that'd be something to look into.
Because you never know, that could affect shit too.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah,
bacteria is crazy.
It's just like whenever you water your fields and then you get nitrous gas coming up out of it.
Yeah.
There's like quite a bit of nitrogen, but it's kind of, I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it having those type of, bacteria.
Yeah, and I guess it doesn't really affect your results one way or the other.
Yeah,
it might. You never know.
A little bit.
That's the thing. That's the trouble with field studies is that there's so much that's just uncontrolled, like the weather, rain events. There's just like, and me and because we're growing shit in Petri plates now. It's like if you grow something in a Petri plate, you have, or even a greenhouse, you have more environmental control than just growing in a field.
Yeah,
the greenhouse is still wishy-washy because there's still shit in the air, there's shit everywhere,
right.
But you don't have to worry about rain events or snow events or frost or, all that shit. Like, you have a little bit more control over the environment, but you don't really in field events, and so... Yeah,
it's really hard to do that. And you even know this too, like even with interacting, we plate organisms against other organisms, so we basically like...
we make them fight each other, dude.
We take one plug here, one plug here, and then it spreads out, and then we see how they interact, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's happening in just a regular soil matrix that we plant, chile and stuff like that, and those interactions are hard to record and understand.
And there's so much variation, even just from here to here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You go here, and like we've done this before in a vegetable crop management class I took with Dr. Guzman, where we got one of those soil probes, and we shoved it in, and we looked to see like what the soil was made of or whatever, however percent sand and clay and silt and loam, like all that other there's a whole fucking triangle of soil.
Oh yeah, that's
matrix, and it's like
quite intense.
Yeah, dude.
To decipher.
Yeah, it's fucking. You have to read from like down and over and up and sideways and diagonal, and you're just like fuck, just to find out what kind of soil you have.
Yeah. Yep.
But we went here, and at the organic field, SREG is what they call it, the Student Research Education Garden or whatever.
Yeah.
And we went here and we got a soil probe, and then we go 10 feet away, we get another soil.
Yeah.
Sample, and this one is vastly different than this one. Even though they're in the same field and they're just 10 feet away.
Yeah, they're undergoing the same management.
So that's just a whole nother variable, just the soil, but then all the shit going on in the soil, all the interactions, all the other shit. It's like the natural world. Like you wouldn't think. I don't know if you're kind of closed-minded, or not closed-minded, but if you're closed off to the natural world, you just kind of see a plant and you're just like, ugh. And then you know what I mean? But then you start getting into this shit and you're like, God damn, like there's so much shit. And like I was telling one of my friends the other day, or maybe it wasn't the other day. I don't know. It was sometime. I don't know. I talk a lot. But anyway, I tell the same people the same shit all the time. I'm like my mom, dude. And like, but then I always talk shit to her about like, oh, you already told me that. And like, I'm like, but God,
that's how it works, though.
Whatever, it is what it is. How it works. And it's just like we always bitch about the shit that our parents do, and then we don't realize that we do, or we might even realize that we do the same shit.
Yeah, and it's kind of strange sometimes too when you're like, oh, I sounded just like my mother.
Yeah,
like I sounded exactly like her.
And it's like, but yeah, so I was saying to one of my friends the other day that like until I started studying plants and like the natural world, like I would go on hikes and stuff, and I would know a little bit about the geology, a little bit about like the environmental science and the shaping of the mountains and how tectonic plates move, and a little bit, like a little tiny bit. But then I started like delving into it a little bit more, like the more natural, like obviously geology and tectonic plates is part of the natural world, but it's not the living natural world.
Yeah, exactly.
So then I started getting into like the living natural world, plants and bacteria and fungus and wildlife, like animals and reptiles and insects and all kinds of shit. And then I started realizing that like literally like everything is interconnected.
Yes.
In the entire world, and it just made me shift perspective about like everything. Like it's just like, I don't know. It's weird because we're different. Like me and you, we're different. We have different thought processes. Mm-hmm. We have different like pains and joys and pleasures and shit like that. It's all different. We think differently, but collectively, we're literally like we're like functionally the same.
Yeah.
Our heart works the same. Our fucking arms work the same. Our like all our internal organs work the same.
Right.
As each other. So it's just like I don't know. It's. Anyways.
It's a very intense biology is like just the craziest thing to think about, and all the interactions that occur, all the ecology of these systems.
Dude, I love
the evolution of these systems.
Evolution's cool too.
Yeah,
especially when you're talking desert plants, dude.
Yes.
Desert plants or even desert animals, dude. Like you have these lizards that have these different colors, to blend in with the rocks and shit, or to cool themselves off in the hot desert environment. Like, there's so much cool shit going on out there. But, so, like, shifting a little bit, I guess, transitioning into the next thing, but still kind of keeping on the same topic. So, I mean, unless you had more to say about what you did for your master's work.
Not really. No. I mean, I think that was I guess the only other thing that, like, the reason I got into like plants and loving plants and like trying to learn about them more, you have those like childhood memories and they just kind of like somewhat like go into the back of your fucking mind and you don't think about them for a very long time, or it like takes you through certain, at some stage in your life you start to like remember certain things and shit like that. Yeah, and so like I started thinking about that and I was like, well, why do I even like plants? Why would I even consider getting into biology or plant sciences or anything like that? And I think my grandmother was a huge plant person when I was growing up, and so all
of our grandmas.
I know.
Everybody's grandma
was just like a plant god to me.
Reading farmers' almanacs and shit.
Like she just knew. Jeez. She knew all kinds of shit, and so like when I was a little girl, we'd be out in the yard like
So it's
all summer
nostalgic.
long. Yes, it's so nostalgic, and I think that's where my first interest into that type of stuff,
Nice.
came from.
Yeah.
I think those are like important. Those
Mine was
memories are important to remember. Like
mine was weed.
Nice. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Straight up, because I don't know. I got a seed and like a weed seed, cannabis sativa, and I in the Cannabaceae family. But anyways, along with hops, which is humulus, and then also along with hackberries. For those that don't know, hackberries, so the Celtis genus, Celtis reticulata, there's Celtis occidentalis. The Celtis occidentalis is the one that is native to here, I believe. Celtis reticulata is the netleaf hackberry, I believe, and then Celtis occidentalis is just like the common hackberry.
Okay.
And there's some growing out in the Oregons. So they're pretty cool. They got this little fungus, I think it's caused by a psyllid, that it's called nipple gall.
Okay.
Yeah, and we like to, in the plant world, in the botany world, we like to be as hard, like as crude as we can. There's literally a species called like mammaria or some shit, because it looks like
like a boob.
Yeah. The mammaries.
Yep,
yeah. Thanks for the mammaries.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like sexual type terms and
dude, I swear to God, God, and it showed up on my memories one time on Facebook. But I was looking up like there's this plant. They call it a nipple cactus. This is why I don't do common names.
Oh yeah.
Unless I forget the scientific name, but it's just like shit will vary from region to region. So the only real way to identify something is by the scientific name. Mm-hmm. And because everything is called a cedar, everything is called a sage, but they might not be in the Cedrus genus or the Salvia genus, which are the true sages and the true cedars. Mm-hmm. Like Juniperus virginiana is called red cedar. But it's juniperous, so it's a juniper. So what the fuck, dude? Like, God.
Yeah, you
but
can't
like,
do that.
That's what pisses me off about like. But I mean, that's a whole other can of worms.
It's so messy, yeah.
But I took a class one day. Maybe it wasn't even a class. I don't remember. But I was looking up. I was trying to identify something, and it's called a nipple cactus.
Yeah.
And I typed it in on like Google.
No, you didn't.
Dude, no, but like there was no pictures of like naked girls or anything.
Yeah.
But there were blurred out pictures of the nipple cactus.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude. I swear to God. I was like, what the fuck, Google? It's so stupid. I was like, God. I'm like, yeah,
can't
so
have these kids just searching up nipple.
Yeah,
cactuses.
so if you're looking at nipple cactus or mammary cactus, be sure to turn your safe search off.
Yep.
You'll be getting some very crude. They call it plant porn.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it because obviously you can't. I'm getting blurred out pictures of the nipple cactus. It's so stupid.
Hilarious.
But yeah, so I don't even remember how we got on that shit.
I don't either.
But yeah, so there's the fuck. How did we get on that?
Oh, we were talking, I think, about just like the different how like some species of plants are like said to be this as a common name, but it's actually not like.
Yeah, but yeah, we went from like one to the other, like one subject to the other.
Yeah, how did we do that?
I don't remember, but anyways.
Yeah, just keep moving.
Yeah, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is me and you work in the same research lab, and obviously I know the shit that you're doing, and but for the viewers that don't know what you're doing, I think you're doing some cool shit with some volatility studies. For those that don't know, volatiles are just these aromatic terpenes that make shit smell good.
Yeah. Basically.
So, like, if you have, like, a lot of the plants in the Lamiaceae family, which is the mint family, fourth largest family in the world, orchids are first, and then the asters, and then the legumes, and then the mints. And I don't know after that. I just quit paying attention after that.
You got way more on me than
well, it's because, like, the Fabaceae is my favorite family, which is the legume family.
Yeah.
Third largest in the world, and I just like their symbiotic relationship with the with the rhizobium that can fix nitrogen. So I just think that's cool. And apparently the Elaeagnus plants can too, which I don't remember the common name, but it's Elaeagnus is the genus, and apparently they can too. But they're kind of boring morphologically. The Fabaceae are cool, and there's a lot that grow out here, like the acacias and shit.
Oh yeah.
There's the Caesalpinias, like a lot are native to this particular region, so they're just cool. And then I like orchids because they're just weird. They have a really weird. They co-evolved with like specific types of bees, like in a really weird way.
Yeah.
And then asters are ecologically the most successful species on the planet. I'm pretty sure that they've just there's a species of aster in every continent except for Antarctica.
That's incredible.
Most likely. So they're like, yeah, dude, they're very, very successful plant family. Yeah. And then the Lamiaceae is one of my botanist friends' favorite families.
Oh yeah.
So that's how I know about that being like the fourth largest. But anyway, like the Lamiaceae, the mint family, they'll have their certain attributes. If you watched not the Aiden episode, but the episode a couple days ago, I talked about a systematic approach to identifying plants or whatever through the process of elimination. And certain plants families will have certain attributes to them. So like the brassicas, like the mustards, they'll have 4 petals, 4 sepals, 4 short stamens, and 2 tall stamens. Most of the time, and they'll have like the glucosinolates, so it makes the taste of the like very spicy. Yeah. So if you ever had like London Rocket or Shepherd's Purse or whatever, like it's got a little kick to it.
Yeah.
So the Lamiaceae, one of the things about it is got square stems, but it also has aromatic leaves.
Oh,
and
nice.
So if you crush the leaves up, it'll smell like a certain way. And those are just the aromatic terpenes, really, that are what are intruding into your nostrils and giving you that nice little smell.
For sure, yeah.
So volatility study, and I don't know, you're probably working on some other shit too.
Oh yeah.
Sonogo has us running all over the fucking place with our heads cut off, dude.
Yeah, Sonogo loves that type of shit.
But I love it too.
I don't mind it either. It's fun.
The more busy you are, the more, because sometimes you have just this downtime where you're like waiting on shit to go through, and it just like it kind of sucks, and so you're just like waiting. You want to do something else. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, so anyway.
He comes up with like 3 more experiments for you to get started on, and it's like, yes, I love this. Yeah. Like, it's nice. It's a nice way to like stay busy and keep you on your fucking toes.
Yeah.
Like
so
the different types of shit you got to do, like this volatility study.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about volatiles. I didn't know how they would interact with these fungal pathogens that we work with in this area, right?
So are you working primarily, well, you're working with Phytophthora, obviously.
Yeah.
But are you also working with Rhizoctonia and Verticillium and Fusarium?
So
all the chili diseases for the most part?
Pretty much all of them. The first 3 I really have looked at so far are Phytophthora, Verticillium, and Rhizoctonia.
Okay.
Phytophthora and the Rhizoctonia can affect the seedlings of the chili plants.
So just making sure that
it's still recording.
I gotta look to make sure it's still recording, dude.
Yeah.
I bought a fat SD card for the Kindle, but I was just gonna record on the Kindle, but then the fucking microphone doesn't work.
Oh, with the Kindle.
In the Kindle, but it works with a smartphone for some. I don't know. Whatever, dude. Technology's stupid.
Right.
But anyway, sorry.
Anyway, yeah, you're fine. So the Phytophthora and the Rhizoctonia really affect the seedlings. It can affect, the chili in a later stage of life. But the Verticillium likes to build up in the plant, and over time you won't be able to see that fungal pathogen in that plant or show its presence until the plant's in its later stages of life.
Right? And they all cause a wilt.
Yeah, a wilt. Yeah, you'll see the plant,
some
wilting
girdling
off.
going on with Phytophthora.
Yeah, you can see that at the stem. There's those different characteristics.
Yeah.
But so these volatiles, not only can they produce this nice pretty smell out of these different family or classes of plants, but they can also kill off fungal pathogens, potentially. There's been studies where they've taken the volatiles out of these products, organic products. So I'm, using chili meal, and then I'm also using hemp meal because it's becoming more relevant, at least in this area.
Thanks, Trump.
Yeah. More relevant in this area as byproducts, and they don't know what the hell to do with them after they process this type of stuff, right? So I'm using these byproducts and trying to see if they release any volatiles to potentially, either suppress or kill off these pathogens.
So they're technically secondary metabolites. So like the plant isn't going to produce volatile compounds really, or I mean they might in small doses, but they're not going to produce a shitload of them unless the plant is under some kind of threat.
Yeah.
Or well, maybe I mean that might be wrong too, actually, because I mean there's got to be some kind of benefit to attracting pollinators, maybe.
Oh yeah, I bet so too. Yeah.
I don't know if bees can smell.
Yeah, I don't really know either.
Or fucking butterflies or hummingbirds. I don't know if they can smell. Really, I know a lot of times they go off of sight. Mm-hmm. But you never know, dude. Like, I mean, I'm sure the hummingbirds and shit are just like, oh, that's a lot of nectar in that motherfucker.
That thing smells dank as fuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. So
I'm gonna go interact with that shit. But yeah, so I'm just basically wetting down the material, letting down these meals, and then seeing if any volatiles are released.
DI water.
From those meals. Yeah, just with DI water.
Yeah. For those that don't know, deionized water has no charge as a neutral.
Yeah, neutrally charged.
I don't even know if you can call it a charge because it's like.
I don't. Yeah.
There's not even really a charge. It's just neutral. It doesn't.
It's neutral. It just takes all those
So technically, if you get DI water and you fucking don't try this at home, or maybe try it at home and then drop it in the comments and tell me if you died. But if there's not a charge, technically you should be able to take like a plug for like an outlet and dip it in some of this water and then shove it into the wall.
Yeah, definitely don't try that.
Theoretically speaking.
That's a bit sketch.
That's why I want the viewers to do it, so they can tell me, they can let me know. It's like, yeah, dude, don't do it. I died. Fuck, okay.
I died.
I won't do it. Shit, sorry. It's like, so I'll have to put a disclaimer.
For real.
At the video or
do not try this at home.
Edit this segment out. But I mean, technically, right? Yeah. Because I mean, you have to have a positive or negative charge to conduct electricity. Like, it shouldn't be able to conduct electricity if it's got a new. I don't know. I'm no expert on that kind of shit.
Yeah, we're definitely not like physicists or anything like that.
Yeah, but
we don't really understand that shit.
But anyway, it's okay. So don't do that. But if you decide to do it, it's at your own discourse. But anyway, the reason why people use DI water in experiments is because it doesn't have a charge.
Yeah.
So it has a pH of 7.0. It's not going to affect anything in terms of it's not going to be an extra variable that you have to worry about.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Call it confounding variables because that might skew your results in some way if it's not DI water. If we use tap water instead.
Yeah, right. And especially our tap water because the pH is 8.5 or something.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Because it's very calcareous.
How basic our water is.
Yeah, very alkaline.
Crazy. Yeah.
So it's just
it's insane.
Yeah,
but yeah, these trials are going well. There's some things that we're now working on secondary wise to try to see what type of rate we're going to use with these.
So you have to come up with your own rating scale, kind of like you did with the biochar shit.
Yeah. So, and also just the rate of application of these types of things, so we started with pretty high.
Yeah.
I started high because I didn't know.
50% was your highest?
My highest was 15%.
I thought you said 50 at one point.
Well, it was at that because at
and
first
I
got
whoa.
I got handed the experiment.
Yeah.
And the dude that was
crazy.
doing it, the farmer that was doing these experiments, put them at extreme rates within these growing things, and then didn't know why the seeds weren't coming up. Well, I
mean, you can't really put it on the farmer too much because
I wouldn't do that at all. He has his own greenhouse. He runs his own experiments in his greenhouse. And he was just trying to see if maybe we could use this meal as, maybe a supplement or something to grow these seedlings up in or anything like that. And it didn't turn out very well because, after all, if you have a 50% rate within your soil matrix, it kind of creates this really hard crust for both of these mills, this chili mill and this hemp mill, and so it's impossible for you to get a seedling up out of that.
It's kind of like clay soil.
Yeah.
More or less, where it's just like the water, the retention is just like it doesn't actually like penetrate through the matrix and fill up all these little pores and shit.
Yep, and really when it does, like when you let the water set and it does penetrate down in, those particles are so tiny and like small, it like retains all this water and like holds it in there like crazy, forms this big thick crust because these nutrient levels in these mills are really high. All of our analysis, or the analysis that Quaid sent off and got done, they're packed full of nutrients like crazy. So that's something that I've had to manage over the time. So my first rates were like 25%, 50%, like high percentages, just to see,
And Quaid is our lab manager, for those that don't know, the lab tech for Dr. Sonogo's lab. But go ahead.
But so we got those taken off, or over time I had to change these rates. And so now I'm all the way down to the point where I've done enough trials at the 1, 5, 10, and 15 rates to know that 5, 10, and 15 rates are way too high. They're incredibly high for this meal that we're using.
And
so
you've done like 1% where...
we've done 1% too. So this is where I've recently shifted, and we've been doing... Now I'm doing 0.5%, 1%, and 1.5%.
Oh, shit, okay.
We're really getting down to the minute rates.
If there's like a difference.
Yeah, to see if
this is all preliminary shit.
All of it's preliminary, but
Anyways,
it's important for
for the real study.
Yeah,
not to say it's not a real study.
Yeah, well, if that opportunity were to come up and you'd want to do something bigger on a grander scale, like in the greenhouse, or even like apply it to a field, okay, this is going to work, this isn't going to work, so let's focus on the stuff that's going to work.
Yeah.
And then we'll really get to see, how it does affect in like a real setting, like an actual in situ.
Or if you're like writing a grant proposal, you have a little bit of backbone to be like, well, instead of just saying, well, I don't know if this is going to work or not. It's like, well, we have preliminary data that shows that the potential for this is high or low or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So like the setup, I know about your setup, but again, for the viewers, what exactly, like, how do you set it up? Like, what exactly, like, if you could walk me from like A through Z pretty much about, I mean, not with like very like nitpicky shit, but like, just kind of the basic, like the surface, scratching the surface a little bit of what you've done or what you're doing.
Right. These volatility studies were tricky at first because, I would...
God, dude, contamination is the word. When you're working in a plant pathology lab...
Hugely annoying.
Contamination is the worst. And then
it's an annoying thing in the world.
Sorry, before you go on real quick, they were like Dr. Sonogo and Darien. They're just like, they're all like, Darien like work under the hood, planting her chili seeds and like, doing all this shit and get all this contamination. And then I'd be in the dirty lab, like, that's like very like non-sterile, like there's no laminar hood, there's no blower.
Uptake,
that's
blower.
Like sucking all the shit up. And like somehow I didn't have any contamination. Dr. Snow was like, this motherfucker, like he's like whispering to the plants, like, grow.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
I'm just like, me and the plant, we just have an understanding, dude.
Yeah, I guess
feel,
so. Or like all the, contamination is just like, we're gonna stay the fuck away from his shit. Yeah, let's get everybody else.
Well,
but you've gone through your trials, I'm sure too.
Well,
you've gone through so many contaminated experiments.
I've had bad contamination.
Me too.
It's just like that one instance where you guys happened to be talking about it, and I was around, and you're just like. Dr. was like, well, have you had any? I'm like, I've been okay with it, without it, whatever. And then he's just like, what are you doing? He's like, I wouldn't even, like, he told me, he was like, I wouldn't even dare try the shit in the dirty lab.
He did not.
And I'm just like, he was hilarious. Like, I wouldn't even dare do it.
I remember that.
And I'm just like, well, like,
here I am.
You gotta take risks, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes, and it's only if the hood is busy.
Yeah.
And I got shit to do, and I'm just like, I don't want to kick people out of the hood because you guys got your own shit to do, and I'm just like, and I'm telling you, dude, I do not really like. It's my old man syndrome. I don't like new shit. I was still stuck in the 90s up until a while ago. I just got a smartphone a couple weeks ago or whatever. But we got a new hood, and I'm not even touching that. We got it like 2 months ago.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm not even gonna fucking that hood would not be being used. I'm like, fuck that hood.
Dude, I'm the only one.
Now I like it though.
Yeah, I was the
now
only
I like
one
it.
that used it for like the first time I got set up and everything like that, and nobody else would touch it. And I'm like, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool little system. It's more like, you know.
It's just people like to stick with what they know, I guess.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of sketchy because there's like the outlets, right? Like when I used it the other day, there's the outlets in the back.
Yep.
And I had the Bunsen burner that was just like the flame was like that high, and like the blower was on, so it's like blowing the flame towards the outlet. I'm like, well, this seems like a super terrifying mixture of fire and electricity,
dude. Well, luckily, just to put your mind at ease, those things aren't attached. They're not even like
they're not
hooked up or anything like that.
Well, and then they have like the protective shit.
Over
them, but still, it's just like
funny.
Sketch.
Dude, and that hood has a way of like really making that flame gigantic, like blowing it and sucking it down. It's like huge compared to the other hood.
I'll do that one. This might not be very like good. But like when I get the plug or the forceps or whatever, I'll dip it in the ethanol. Yeah. And then I'll put it like on the flame, especially with the plug. Yeah. What is it called? The core. The core. Yeah. The core. I'll get that and I'll dip it in the ethanol, and then there'll be like a little ring of like ethanol on the inside of the core, and then I'll put it on the flame, and then it'll just like the thing will like light up, and then I'll just like flick the wrist a little bit to make the flame go.
Dude, like, I do that shit too. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I have the only difference is I guess I haven't lit the lab on fire, laptop on fire, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know who's.
You're a fire setter.
Yeah, dude, it's
that's God. Funny.
But I've gotten better.
Yep, you have.
I accidentally lit the lab on fire. For those that don't know, I accidentally lit the lab on fire a couple times. So if you ever feel, I actually had one of my friends. You know, she's doing a PhD down in Florida, and I've never met the girl. I've only known her through mutual friends, and then you know, she worked for Dr. Bailey too and stuff like that. And she had put something about like how she accidentally like almost burned a hole in like the lab desk and shit, and like she felt really bad about it. Yeah. And I messaged her, and I was just all like, "Well, if it makes you feel better," I was like, "I lit the lab on fire twice, and I'm not even at a new school." Oh yeah. I'm just like, so, and she's like, "That makes me feel a lot better." I'm like, "Okay, cool," because I mean, the shit's just like some of the shit, like you just gotta laugh it off. Yeah, it's just absolutely. Like fuck, and like if
it doesn't hurt anything,
or if you don't do it on purpose,
like it's an accident.
People know you don't do it on purpose. Like the first time I lit the lab on fire, oh god, dude, it was so bad. The second time wasn't that bad. I just spilled some ethanol. Yeah. And then I like it lit on fire, and then I tried to pour like there's a little tiny bit of water in like the DI glass, and I tried to pour it on there, and then like it didn't work, and then I was like, "You fucking idiot! There's a sink right there. Just get some water and dump it." So I did, and I tried to pat it out at first, and then I had ethanol in my glove, and then my glove lit on fire. Oh god! And like, oh dude, yeah. And luckily, no one was there to see it.
You panicked like crazy.
I did panic because, like, I mean, those, and I should have known because, like, I've fucked with this for a long time, but like Bunsen burners and stuff. But the way that the lab benches are made, they're fireproof. Yeah. So you just gotta wait.
Just let it burn off.
And it's like, yeah. But the first time was really bad because that was the second time that happened. The first time I caught the lab on fire was I was drying these mushrooms out, and we had our own little drying cabinet, and the dial was broken. And so I was supposed to dry it out at 65 degrees Celsius, but the dial only went up to 60, so I was like, I tweaked it to 60. Yeah. And it was, and I told everybody. No one told me, because no one knew that the drying oven was broken, that the dial was broken. Because I told everyone in the lab that I had mushrooms in there and that I set it to this temperature. And the dial, like, you had to have it on like 25 Celsius on the dial in order for it to be 65 Celsius in real life.
Oh my god.
So when I cranked it up to 65 Celsius, it was like 120 degrees Celsius in real life. And
way too hot.
I guess I woke up the next morning to a text. I was like, yo, your mushrooms caught on fire in the lab. So what the fuck? And I was like, are people there? Are they pissed? And the person that texted me was just like, well, I don't know. We'll see what Dr. Sonogo says. And I'm like, okay. I was like, God, dude, I hope he's just not pissed. Like,
yeah.
Dr. Sonogo is a very hard person to make mad unless you
Incredibly hard.
unless you just really are fucking around.
Fucking up, yeah.
And I'm just like, God, I hope he's not mad, dude. Like, this was like within the first month or two that I was working there. Like, it was just I was very new. I wasn't new to Dr. Sonogo. Like, I'd taken classes with him undergrad. He was my co-advisor for my master's thesis and stuff like that. So he knew me, which is good. He knows I'm not going to light the lab on fire on purpose.
Yeah, no.
And then I guess what happened was, like, the custodian comes in at, like, 6 in the morning, and she, like, smelled the burning and shit. She's like, what the fuck? So she called the fire department, and then, like, they had come. I got there, and, like, the building monitor put a note on the door that was, like, there was a small fire, like, so it might smell a little bit, but it's contained now and all this shit. So when Dr. Sonogo came in, he was just, like, he was happy that it was just a little fire and that was containable, you know, in the little box. And he was just like, I was just happy that the whole lab didn't light on fire. So when he was like, I got the call in the morning and I was like, I thought the main lab was on fire, not the dirty lab. And I was like, dude, and like, and he told me too, like, I didn't even say anything. And he was just like, I can tell that you feel bad. He's like, don't feel bad.
Yeah.
I was like, but at a certain point, like, you do feel bad because you didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
And, you know, you're just like, I'm not trying to fuck you over and, like, you know, waste your lab resources and stuff. Obviously, I didn't do it on purpose. He knows I didn't do it on purpose. I know I didn't do it on purpose. Yeah. Anyone involved knows I didn't. That was a true accident. But you still feel bad.
Yeah, you still feel bad. Sonogo's just so forgiving, though. Like, he just has this energy, too, that is just like...
He's a good man.
Yeah,
I want to get him on the podcast.
Yes, that would actually be phenomenal.
Yeah,
like, he
dude,
needs to come
so
do
cool.
this. Because, that man is just so full of knowledge, too, and experiences, and, like...
Yeah.
Just knows how to say things in a way you understand what's going on.
Well, when I took a fungal biology class with him, he was just like... and this is what really drove it home and what made it easier, I guess, for me to teach my class to... I have master's level knowledge of plants. Yeah. The class that I teach is a 100 level class, so like they might not know, they might not even give a shit. They might just be there for the credit or whatever, you know, the science credit or the lab credit or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was like, if you were to walk, so for those that don't live in Las Cruces, there's a Starbucks right across the street from the university, and he was like, so if you were to walk to Starbucks and some random on the street just started asking you about arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, like, what would you tell them? Like, how would you explain it to them, to like kind of the general audience? And then I'm like, and he was like, once you can do that, you have pretty much mastered the subject. Yeah. I'm like, that's a good way to think about it, dude. You know, like if some random person stopped me on the street and asked me a question about plants, it's like, okay, I can most likely, and I mean, they might ask me some obscure, crazy fucking question. Yeah. You know, but like, I, for the most part, should be able to answer whatever question they have about plants. Right. You know, for the most part. But, so the, we kind of went off on a tangent there, but, it's cool. It happens all the fucking time, dude.
This is not a problem.
So the volatility stuff, so you're down to half. So like the setup, you have a couple of deep dish petri plates, correct?
They're
stacked on top of each other.
To
trap the volatiles.
They're actually like small little plates. I have like the small micro plates.
Oh, they're not the. Oh, you do.
So I don't.
I thought you had some deep dish shit going on.
So I did have some deep shit.
Some deep shit
to talk about. Some deep dish trials going where I used some sand and I put the mill in there and I planted chile in it, you know, to try to create like a good environment for it to come up. And I plated it like there's a big, like the bottom of the deep dish and another bottom on top, and I parafilmed those together. So the sand was in the bottom and I, you know, plant those things. And then I let it grow to see if it would come up and stuff like that. But I had a major problem with contamination also with the almond. But one thing that was cool from that we got to pull and extract from that was that the chili came up in my control, which is just water, like just plain sand, no meal at all. And water. Then the 1% chili meal application rate came up. Like the chili was coming up and germinating pretty well, and I was very happy with it. But the rest of them, nothing came up. Just way too, I think, volatile and like just hardcore of an environment for those seedlings to pop up. Because we know that like seedlings don't really need that much when it comes to chili to like come up. They need good contact with the soil and moisture.
So what if you added the chili meal in the later stages after you germinated the seeds? Do you think that there would be a difference, or do you think that it would still be so volatile that the seedlings would just die?
Yeah, I actually have some experience in that with the hemp mill.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I did do applications of hemp mill for the.
A little bit of that.
Yeah, good. Hit me with that.
This ain't water. Really, this is vodka. No, good old Crystal Palace gallon of it. Right. Oh God, yeah, Crystal Palace. Anyway, go ahead. That's a whole nother dude.
Yeah, that's gross.
Fucking.
But I did it with hemp mill, and I did the 1, 5, 10, and 15s.
Yeah.
With transplanted chili, and they did okay. They did show some like nutrients. Deficiency. It wasn't quite a burn. It didn't burn the plant like I was expecting it to, but it did definitely stun its growth at some point. So my controls and my 1% looked good.
Do you think that was like because of just shock? Because I mean, obviously, if you're adding all of this at once, it changes the environment. It changes the soil matrix. It changes all the shit.
Absolutely.
And the plant might just be like, well, what the fuck is going on? So if you were to add it in increments instead, do you think that might be?
Yeah, that's viable. It's a viable way of doing it, because we're actually now looking at a different way to start applying these preliminary studies.
Okay.
Now, so we're doing seed priming. Seed priming is basically where you soak the seed for 24 hours in your extracts. Same shit with trichoderma. Yeah. So we do it. I'm doing it with extracts. So I'll take the chili mill and I'll put it in with DI water to get my certain rate that I want. Let it shake 24 hours, and then I filter that stuff out. And then I have my extract, and that's what I use for my volatility trials. I did some with just plain extracts. And now we're looking at it as seed primers, and we're gonna eventually look at it as like a foliar spray for the chili.
Nice.
And then we're gonna do some soil drenching, where we'll do the drenching at incremental periods of time. We haven't decided on the rates yet to do that at, because I'm still looking at the lower end rates to see if it might work. But that's the future of this like hemp mill and chili mill.
With the total leaf drenching and the soil drenching and stuff like that, you're gonna kind of do it the same way that I've been doing with my mushroom extracts, where you inoculate the plant with the Phytophthora or whatever species you're working with, and then you spray. You make a solution, and then you spray the plants. I think it's like 25 mils per plant or some shit, and then you get like a total leaf drench is really where you're just getting the undersides of the leaves and the top, like you're literally just drenching the whole thing to see if there's any combatants against the
if the plant is like able to uptake whatever
through the
compound, whatever it is, through the pores, through the leaf surface, whatever, to see if it'll take it and like fight against those. So that's like the next step for those mill type projects.
Okay, nice.
And then I also have I'm going to be working with algae.
Oh, no shit.
Too.
Are you gonna be doing stuff with like Omar?
I don't think I'm going to do it with Omar.
'Cause he's the algae dude.
Yeah, Sonogo's working with the Dolu on it, and a couple of other professors.
Back to your roots.
Yeah, so I haven't had to interact with them yet. But so far we're just looking at this algae product to see if it's viable.
It's just a product.
It's a product. It's just like a one strain of algae.
So like a red algae or brown algae or
it's a soil algae that they've taken, and they've made this like concentrate basically of all the however the algae reproduces, which I'm not quite sure, and I need to brush up on. I
should know this too.
Yeah, I should know it as well. It's just like spacing
But
space in my
algae
mind
is
right now.
weird because it's a very
Algae's-
primitive
Yeah, it's
being.
and it needs such specific conditions to show itself.
It doesn't
in
really
a soil
work
matrix.
like plants and fungi. It's like kind of its
No.
own deal. Where it's just like, okay, this is like, that's kind of like where life began, dude.
Yeah.
Algae and mosses and lichens and shit like that. You're just like, okay, I'm just gonna let you do your fucking thing. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but you know, do it, you know?
Yep, so now I'll be looking into like algae application and as well as with some other, a biocide, and then another, like herbicide, or I guess it's just like chemically based, like fungicide.
So you're just gonna, it's like a comparative study.
Yeah, we're gonna be looking at the differences between these things, what changes, see how the plant is really affected by the pathogen at that point, with those applications. So we'll do the same thing, like the foliar sprays and some drenches as well.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, so it's gonna be exciting and just full of work for the next several months.
I know, I gotta start doing some scouting, like, I got this Texas A&M chili seeds, and we're looking to see if there's phytophthora resistance. For those that don't know, I really shouldn't tell you. I should really just tell you to watch episode number 1, motherfuckers. But I'll just repeat it anyways. For those that don't know, phytophthora is fungus-like without being an actual fungus. So morphologically, it grows like a fungus. But classification-wise, it's technically a water mold. It's in the algae family, kingdom, whatever the fuck classification. It's housed under algae.
Yes.
It spreads by water. It has little spores called oospores that have these 2 little tails called flagella that allow it to like swim through the water and affect the other plants. And so if you have a field that's getting flood irrigated or whatever, and you have phytophthora over here, then you flood irrigate your field, it's just going to carry those spores to all the rest of your plants. So we're looking at some those Texas A&M varieties, looking to see if there's any resistance for phytophthora. And so far, I think I've shared with you some of my results. So nothing so far has been resistant to phytophthora, but there might be some tolerance in one of the species that I'm looking at. I'm not entirely sure yet, but besides that, though, like I'm going to be scouting for just pests and disease in the field of this farmer that's growing these Texas A&M varieties, and then what I'm doing in the lab is looking at the resistance or potential resistance of these strains or
varieties,
cultivars, varieties, whatever. It's all more splitting hairs, but that's what the science community likes their vocabulary. Yeah. And sometimes you can just get away with just not giving a shit.
Sometimes you don't even need it.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know, especially in the plant world, there's so much little tiny, like, well, these are filaries, and these are sepals, and these are tepals, and these are fucking blah, blah, blah. It's just, like, you can get away without knowing a lot of that shit. Like, it's fine. But, yeah, so I'm going to be doing that, too, is just going out sometime next week on Tuesday, I think, actually, going and scouting these plants and just seeing, like, what the fuck is growing on them, if anything's growing on them, if anything's diseased or has pests or anything like that. So, I got new shit coming up too, like on the horizon. So
good.
Yeah, dude, it's good to be busy. Being busy keeps you sane for the most part. I think like you're not just sitting around twiddling your thumbs, but it's good to have downtime too. You know, but
agreed. You have to have your like personal time where you get to do things that like either you'd want to get done or like something that's just good for your mental health, you know, like
yeah, dude, like kind of going a little bit off topic, but sticking to the same general subject. That's what I did. Like, so Aiden ended up testing positive for COVID. Right, and he's good now. I tested him yesterday. He was good, negative, good to go. I tested myself. I'm good, negative, good to go. Fuck COVID. And I had him when he tested positive on Monday and Tuesday, and so I didn't go to MMA training or anything like that on those 2 days. And then I was going to go on Wednesday, but that's when I took my car into the shop to get it like fixed, and then like it was just like there was so much shit that like had gone on this week that like Wednesday I was just like I didn't have Aiden, so I really didn't have a good reason to just not show up. But I mean, I told my sensei this too. I was just like, dude, like I just had to take that day.
Yeah.
I'm there every single day, so it's like, okay, you take a couple days off, it's not that big of a fucking deal, right? But I just had to take that Wednesday because I'm like, dude, I had a sick kid, and then I had to go get my fucking car fixed and pay, $1,000 for that shit. Like after all that was done, I was just kind of like, I just want to go home, dude.
Yeah.
I just want to go home. I don't want to have to worry about like going and getting punched in the fucking face and getting my body twisted and shit like a pretzel, dude. Like, okay.
The last week was the same way for me too.
It was a weird week for everybody, dude.
There is so much going on. I feel like for everybody in like these different aspects of our lives, it just causes like stress. Like, I had high stress this past week too, and it was like I don't.
Any particular reason?
Oh well, I mean,
as long as
a bunch of little
personal,
things.
Obviously.
No. It's just a bunch of little things that started coming up.
Okay, so I'm gonna do some cheap editing, and the fucking camera cut off, and the storage was full or whatever, so we had to transfer the file, and then I put it back on. I deleted it off my phone, and now I've just like I don't know, whatever. The whole bullshit.
Bunch of fuckery.
Yeah, a bunch of the fuckery is. But anyway, so we talked about some cool shit. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, dude.
Thanks for having me.
I was just wondering like how, not really like how far the podcast is gonna go, but like how much interest it's gonna generate. Because like honestly, like I don't really give a shit if one person watches it or 100,000 people watch it. It doesn't matter to me. What matters more to me is like the impact that it makes. So like I was talking about a couple days ago, I think, and I was just like, the only like one of the reasons I want to do this is so like people can see, like I want to get like fellow scientists, writers, engineers, artists, like all kinds of just random people. I got a good diversity of friends and just people that I know. Like I want to get a bunch of people on here, and then get them to like tell their story because it'll hopefully impact people to the point where they're just like, man, I don't know, like I want to do something. I have a passion. And I want to go for it, and I want to follow that passion, but they might be a little nervous or like, something like that. And it's just like, well, if I can impact one person to like just kind of like do whatever they want to do and follow their passion and, don't be afraid to fall on your face kind of shit.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And it's the impact more for me, I guess is what I'm trying to say, more so than like the viralness or the fucking views or the likes and subscribes and all that other shit. So that's kind of the reason I started this, was just to have an outlet for people to talk about things. And then also too, like obviously me and you are friends, and me and my first guest were friends, and then stuff like that. And so we talk to each other all the time, but we're always constantly learning new shit from each other. And I think that's another thing too. It's like, well, fuck, like the conversation, like we were having a conversation about diets and shit yesterday. Yeah. And I'm just like, damn, that's why, like, we could have recorded that shit. And then, like, this is a conversation that, like, should be kind of available to anyone that's interested in, like, seeing it,
I agree.
I don't know. It's just, like, one of those things, like, I don't know. But anyways, that's kind of, like, my little...
No, I like that. I like being able to see like different viewpoints too on things, and just to know people's stories a little bit, because it's like you can get anxiety thinking about how things are gonna go if they go wrong, and like, or if they go good, you get this anxiety over that stuff. So having people have kind of already experienced it, and get to voice their experiences and how it like affected them and everything. It's nice to learn from.
Yeah, someone might be watching and be like, oh shit, I'm going through the same thing, like, whatever. Like, I mean, we don't really get, like, so far, the couple guests I've had, like, we don't really get into, like, super deep, personal, nitty-gritty shit, but I mean, it's also an open forum. Right. I'm not going to be the one to bring that kind of shit up. because
No.
obviously if it's personal or whatever. But if it's like one of those things that like makes you feel better, like kind of like a form of therapy without really being therapy at the same time. I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe I guess what is therapy really? It's like
Yeah.
something that makes you feel good and gets you away from your demons. And if this is a platform for that, then technically is therapy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, but so yeah, so I don't know how that even got to be, but that's how most of the conversations happen. But anyway, so any closing remarks? Any words of wisdom? Quotes to live by? Fucking I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. I guess I'm just
anything?
gonna say kind of like what I've been seeing myself like, and that's just to be focused right now. It's the time to be focused. And it's also a time to persevere because there's a lot of shit going around, a lot of like bad things happening, not bad things, inconvenient things, and it's just there's always a path. There's always a path that you're set on, and just to keep going along that path.
And there's sometimes that path comes to a crossroads where you're just like, fuck, dude, like I have this decision, I have this decision.
Absolutely.
What decision should I make? And you really just got to make the decision that's going to be the best for you overall. Or, if you have someone that's dependent on you, like a kid or some shit, then really make the decision that's going to be the best for them.
Absolutely.
Which really, if you make a decision that's best for them, it's really going to be best for you too, for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a lot of times there's just these two paths. There's a path that can lead you down to there's the path of righteousness, and then there's the path of destruction. And a lot of times when you find yourself in a stressful situation, you have those two paths that you can really go on the path of destruction, which unfortunately a lot of people go on because they're so stressed.
Right.
But then if you think about it, you go on this path of destruction, you're just going to get more stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
okay, well, I'm having this problem, so I'm going to drink that away.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you're an alcoholic. And then you're like, fuck, now I'm even more stressed because I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And then, that one thing leads to another, just like the domino effect we were talking about. Or you could choose the path of righteousness where you're not actual righteousness, but, whatever. It just flows off the tongue well. But, you could choose that path where you're just like, okay, I'm stressed, but I'm going to take go out and take a bird's eye view, look at things, and realize that, this is just there's, I can learn from this.
Yeah.
Because, if you really think about it, me and you had kind of a shitty week, you know what I mean? But in the grand scheme of things, it's here's the timeline.
Yeah.
Your shitty week is not even visible on that timeline.
Right. Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
At the same time, you just, it's easier said than done, obviously, but if you kind of back out and look at it that way, it's just should you really give that much of a shit? Obviously people go through really traumatic stuff, and I'm not trying to downplay anything, in terms of that, but, if you just had a stressful week for, you had your reasons. My stressful week was because of, the car breaking, the air conditioner and all that shit, and that's not, I've been through worse,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If I look at that, and I'm just this is a little, just when you look at, the universe, and you're, a little tiny speck.
Yeah.
It's not even you, it's the solar system, it's the galaxy, a little tiny speck, and then within that little tiny speck, you have your planets, and then you have, obviously Earth, and then you have you.
Yeah.
And then you're even just the tiniest speck on this tiny speck within this tiny speck in this giant fucking shit.
Yeah.
So does it really matter?
Yeah. I feel you.
I don't know.
Absolutely. And it's just all about mindset, right? Your mindset and how you start to
positive mindset.
Yeah. How you start to go evolve as a human being, and how your mindset can change. And that's only if you make those decisions and that can alter your life. It can alter your mindset, and it can go either way, but
and then you have the whole theory of evolution is based off of species ability to, like, adaptability of species.
Right.
And so if you can adapt to these changes, whether they be stressful or not, you're the one that's going to survive, you know what I mean? And that might be like a metaphorical type of survival,
Yeah.
but you're still, like, you have a physical state, you have an emotional state, you have a mental state, and you can survive that declining mental state if you are able to adapt.
Yeah.
And one of the ways to do that, one of the better ways to do that is by having that mindset. And, you know, obviously there's some shit that people go through where it's like, it's hard to have a positive mindset.
Yeah.
But there's pros and cons to everything.
Absolutely. And
Absolutely,
I think it's just like one step at a time sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't sit here and delve on the idea of what it could look like years from now if you continue to, like, or if you, like, change these things. Like, the future is the future. Like, you're never going to know what it is until you live it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I just focus, now my mindset has changed entirely, and I focus on the day-to-day.
Yeah.
I focus on that day and what I'm going to do today to, you know, either make myself healthier or make myself better or to, like, progress so I can move forward in life, you know?
Or even then, like, you can break it down to the moment.
Yeah.
Even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's some moments, like, you know, where some shit happens and you're like, just like, fuck all of this. Fuck all of this. But,
it's true.
yeah, I guess learning how to, like, eventually step back from that and be like, okay, take the situation. Let's look at it a little bit. It happened, whatever it was. Let's figure out how we're going to either get out of this or how we're going to adapt from there. Like,
well, and at the same time, too, like, having these complex emotions may seem like a bad thing, but it's what makes you human at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, and so, like, if you look at it that way too, where you're just all like, okay, like, I'm kind of grateful. Yeah. You know, and, like, this is ripping off, you know, a little bit of South Park, honestly, because but I mean, you know, beneath all the funny, like, shit in South Park, they do make valid points about stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the episodes, you know, one of the characters was like, I'm sad, but at the same time, like, I'm happy that something can make me feel that sad, because obviously if I felt this bad right now, then I would have had to have felt really good another time. It's the whole yin and yang shit, you know what I mean? Like, you can't have one without the other.
Absolutely.
Like, can't have good without bad. You can't have bad without good, positive, negative. So it's like, okay, if the bad shit happens, that is what is the avenue for good shit to happen too.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And so it kind of does just make you, like, I don't know, it just, and then also too, like, we're not just, like, in the wild, like animals, obviously, they don't have super complex emotions. They have, you know, eat, or, like, you know, survive and reproduce.
Yeah.
That's pretty much their two main things. Yeah. And we're not out in the jungle getting ripped apart by lionesses and shit, you know?
We're not. Yeah, we really aren't.
So it's like, okay, like, it could always really be worse, and that's super cliche to say, but at the same time, like, sometimes it's true.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
If and that's only really, like, let me clarify, okay? Like, that's really only if, like, you're letting petty shit bother you. If it's, like, something huge, like someone died, or, like, it's something like, you know, you found out you got cancer or some shit, you know, it's like, okay, maybe things, you know, couldn't be worse.
That's true. Yeah.
But if it's like the petty shit, so I want to put that out there for, like, you know, if people are watching and they're like, this motherfucker, like, you can't just be happy all the time. It's like, yeah, I know, but, like, that's why I try to maintain, like, and it's not forced, but that's why I try to maintain, like, a positive personality. Like, when I come into lab, or, you know, whatever, like, I mean, for the most time that you've known me, like, you've heard me bitch about shit, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
and,
we all
like,
bitch.
Yeah, and it's like, and maybe you've seen me in, like, a okay mood, you know, but I've never really been angry.
No.
I feel.
No.
I mean, I have been angry, obviously. That's another human emotion.
Yeah.
And there's no shame, like...
Relatively, it's...
But for dumb shit, or, like...
Positives, you know, yeah. For dumb shit, there's no...
Well, and then, too, like, say you come into lab and say you're having a shitty day and you don't really want to deal with people and you're just like, God, like, fuck this. And then, like, if I can, like, flip your day around, just, like, or or if you're just like, oh, Jason's gonna be in the lab, like at least he can make me laugh or some bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know, whatever.
Honestly, like I feel like that's how our dynamic in the lab is becoming, as we're like becoming these friends. We're growing these like friendships in this lab.
Yeah.
And we're like all sort of tight knit, and I like that a lot. And I've always wanted that in a work environment.
And we
have
our
that
little,
is
you
really
can tell
cool.
We have like our little inside jokes, and
yes.
we just have like our different personalities, and they but they don't clash. Like everybody just kind of gets along.
Yeah, and it's fabulous. It's
which is
just
cool.
Like a good work environment. It's fucking dope.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I guess moral of the story is like don't. They say. Don't sweat the petty, pet the sweaty. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if that's really. I don't know.
I love that.
I don't know if that's a good motto to live by, but seriously, like don't stress over like dumb shit. I don't know, like it's funny too because like these podcasts, like so far, obviously minus like the Aiden one, because we just talked about video games and kid shit,
Yeah.
But the first guest I had on, it's like we talked about shit in the beginning. It was kind of cool, and then like kind of like wrapping it up, like it got on like a serious note. We're just like, okay, moral of the story is like don't ever be afraid to reach out to people and give them, and like that's exactly how this is kind of ending.
Yeah.
So like it might turn into like a theme. I already got the theme where we're drinking random shit or whatever. Me and Aiden we're sipping on some chocolate milk. And so I got that kind of theme already, and then like things kind of work themselves into the podcast, and then you kind of like things are expected of you, or you start to get into like a certain flow.
Yeah.
And so who knows, that might be the ending of all. It's like, okay, moral of this episode, or moral of what we're just talking about is like, don't let the petty shit bother you. There's always silver linings. There's always light on the other side. If it's something big, obviously, you can let it bother you or whatever. Like, but also know that there's pros and cons to everything. There's just like some shit can be like pulling teeth, really, but a lot of times we're stressed over this little bullshit that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah, a lot of times.
And we really shouldn't be. And again, I know that's easier said than done, but like, we really shouldn't stress over shit that truly, truly, truly just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or at least, I mean, I don't want to say we shouldn't, but we should. If we find ourselves stressing over shit that doesn't matter, we should try to find a way out.
Yeah.
Immediately, whether that be meditation, whether that be yoga, whether that be just going on a jog.
Yeah.
One of the huge things, since this is like a nature podcast anyway, go the fuck outside. Vitamin D will just cure you of all your depression for the most part, dude.
Absolutely.
Like, I can be tired, I can be sad, I can be whatever, and then as soon as I go outside, like, it's just gone.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know, dude, it's just like the energy of the earth, and you don't feel that when you're inside a building and like the walls are just, you're kind of enclosed in.
Yeah.
And even if it's 100 fucking degrees outside, go lay under a tree in the grass or some shit. I don't fucking know, dude.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
being outside.
So thanks for being on the podcast. We didn't cheers when we had the water, but whatever. Cheers to the empty glass or whatever. So yeah, thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
And we'll have to do another one at some point. We didn't even really. I mean, we scratched the surface, but there's some other stuff I was going to talk to you about, like your dogs and
we'll get there.
Doing the rescue shit and
or
stuff like that. So, but anyway, so that wraps up the episode. So like and subscribe and ring the bell and all that bullshit, and leave a comment and tell your friends and tell your friends' friends and tell your friends to tell their friends' friends. Okay, peace out.